Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by the one and only
Shannon D.
Shannon D.
That's me.
Jacques Davy is, he's the weed king of Los Angeles. So he's, I don't know exactly what he's doing. He couldn't tell us, but it's very important and it's very high in THC. My Lord, who is that for? I hope it's medicinal.
Yeah, truly. It is not federally legal, honey.
Yeah, it's not. Oh my God, I actually almost texted, but I got in this crazy anxiety panic because you know how you can't bring lithium batteries onto the airplane now and you can't check them?
Yes.
So I brought a weed pen to Florida and I wasn't even really thinking about it. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And I had it there. And then on the way back, I was like, oh, I'll just check it. There's no way they'd notice. So I'm sitting there, I checked it, and then I was like, oh my God, it has a lithium battery. They're going to find it, and I'm going to be arrested in Florida, and I'm going to prison. And then I didn't even want to type it because I was like, maybe they'll use that against me in court.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or they'll just track you by that. All those robots out there.
Well, speaking of robots, I went to ChatGPT and I was like, yo, what if I left a lithium battery in my luggage? What's the most likely outcome? And it's like, as an AI language model, I can't actually tell you. But if you're going to make me, I would say 90% chance that nothing happens. And nothing happened.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even check them. You can't check lithium batteries.
If you have, I guess it's if you accidentally do it with like a razor or something, I think they usually just let you do it. But it's a risky thing to do. You're not supposed to check any lithium batteries because I guess the lithium can catch fire in rare situations and it's like impossible to put out. So.
Okay.
Anyway.
Every time I go to the airport, I always have this like tinge of anxiety about like what drugs do I have on me, and it's been years since I would ever have any type of like harder drug than that on me, but for some reason I'm always like I must have like an old backpack from like 2015 or something.
Yeah, with a pound of weed that I've never had on my person, but clearly now I do. It's a paranoia.
Exactly.
I get it, so.
Or when the dogs come out, and I think they're always looking for bombs, but like I always think that they're looking for me specifically.
I know, same. Nonetheless, I actually had a great time in Florida. It was humid AF. Shout out to dear listener Kat, who came with her boyfriend. I'm sorry, his name escapes me, but they were wonderful. Came to my show. They were super sweet. She made me a duck that I've named Ducky Vega. Shout out to listener L, who helped me name him.
The cutest little thing. That was very sweet. I think she said that she was maybe going to make me a foot or something. She was like, I couldn't think of anything else to make you but a foot. I was like, I would take that.
She said, I'm going to get a foot in the mail and I'll know what it's for. And I was like, yes, I will. So.
Oh my God. I wonder what she's going to do for old Jakey.
Yeah, they were real gems, and it was funny because I kind of didn't have a great set the second night. I felt like I bombed. I was reassured that I didn't really bomb, but it felt like a bomb, so it was kind of a tough thing to navigate because I was in a bad mood holding a duck that someone made for me. Try to be in a bad mood holding a duck. It's hard.
Yeah, really. I know. I hate that feeling of like you feel like you bombed because you know you can do better than that. So it's like anything below like making the crowd rip roar with laughter feels like a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of lost them, and I'm not mad at myself. I think I made a mistake. The opener was like, I have another set, so I'm actually going to leave during your set and come right back. It's just a 10-minute set somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And while he was gone, people like came in, and I don't know why. I'm never like this at the shows, but for some reason I was like, you guys can't come in. It's a ticketed event. And I was acting like security, and I was being super harsh, and I think it was really unlikable.
Oh.
And then I was also like, tickets are $10. And then people were like, we paid $20. And then so they felt scammed.
Oh no.
So people like kind of turned on me and I couldn't get any laughs. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess we're done here, and just awkwardly ended the set. So whatever. It's just,
that was the one that Kat came to.
Yeah, but Kat enjoyed herself, and then I got to hang out with them after we played a couple rounds of Jenga. And then these gyms and a half were like, "Do you want to ride home?" And then they were like, "Oh my God, you can sit in the front seat." And I was like, "I'm not sitting in the front seat. That's ridiculous. I will sit in the back seat. You guys can sit in the front." They were so sweet, and they're actually streamers, so they were telling me about the Pokemon streaming community. Joey, that was the boyfriend's name. Sorry, Joey. And Joey, I watched him play because I was like, oh, they play Pokemon and like stream it. And I was expecting it to be like normal. No, it's not normal, Shannon. They play at like 5 times speed and it's like, it's like super fast. And I was like, okay, you guys are being modest. You guys are like master Pokemon people. Like, it was crazy.
Wait, what, did you go back with them?
Yeah, they drove me back to my... No. They just drove me back. They drove from Savannah, Georgia. Thank you so much, Kat and Joey. What gems.
Oh, my God. Yeah, but where'd you see them playing? On their phones?
Oh, no, they stream. It's on YouTube.
Oh, so they were just showing you?
I looked them up. I looked up their videos. I was curious. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's so nice. How far of a drive is that?
5 hours. They like made a trip out of it. So
that is so sweet.
Wonderful listeners. Great to meet you guys. They were so sweet. They were like, "You're a celebrity." I was like, "Guys, stop." You're
my God, you are. Please. He's got some fans, some fannies.
Yeah.
That's what you can call them.
That's funny.
Well, you had a whole time, and you did like a million different things when you were in Florida. You had a 99th birthday party.
Yes, my cousin and my aunt like threw this awesome party for my great aunt who was 99. Shout out to them. Shout out to my great aunt who had an amazing time. And actually, this is pretty funny, Shannon. So there was a guy like kind of DJing the event, and he's playing like Cuban music and stuff, but he was awesome. I was so impressed. He would like sing at points and he played a saxophone and then he would like involve the crowd and have other people sing. Ooh. And he was just super charismatic. So I went up to him and I was like, "Hey man, as a fellow entertainer, I just wanted to say like mad props, like really impressed. I could never do what you do. Like you're killing it, my man." Mm-hmm. And he like kind of took the compliment really well, but then he like said something and I didn't know if it was an English-Spanish gap or if I was just being weird, but it kind of sounded like what he said was like, "Do you want to hang out after?" And it was like really forward. And I was like, I don't know if you're hitting on me or what, but I'm uncomfortable. And I was like, haha, I don't know. I'm with my family. Bye.
Was he giving off like gay vibes at all?
A little. He was a little bit too talented to be straight. So I don't know. I might have just.
And he had an accent. So it was like a little bit of a like maybe language barrier thing.
It might have been a language barrier. Like, and he wasn't being creepy or anything. It was just a little forward. And I was just like, oh, that wasn't really it. I wasn't trying to hit on you. I was just trying to, give you some props, dog.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, it was really fun. So, and my great aunt, she lasted like 2.5 hours. And then after the event had gone on for a while, she started to get a little cranky. It was really funny. I tried to take a picture with her and everyone's like, "Smile." And she's like, "No, I'm done smiling." And I was like, that's fair. That's fair. Let her be done.
I know my grandparents who are 95 and 96 right now, like just can't last at parties at all. Like they'll come for, Easter, Mother's Day or something. They'll come for like an hour, but my grandpa like can't handle when little kids are running around or making any kind of ruckus at all. And he's just like, he'll just turn his hearing aid off so that he can't hear anyone.
That's hilarious. He's like muting the world now. What a nice feature.
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of nice. Wish we could do that. I mean, I guess we could just put in a noise cancellation.
Actually, I did this. So this is my first time. I'm actually PSAing this. I am a safety first boy. So I went to Rockville because my buddy Lucas, who's been on the pod, some of you will know Lucas and Ronnie. They're my friends. We once had a podcast. And we went to Rockville and we got noise, like earplugs. Mm-hmm. And it was my favorite way to experience a concert because what I did was like there was one act I was really excited to see who I might actually ding in a moment. And I took out the earplugs for like some of my favorite songs. So it was like really loud and fun when I was listening to them. But like because I wore earplugs, like I just had no ringing ears. I had no ear problems. And guys, you can damage your hearing in just 90 minutes of exposure. Like at a concert where they're doing their job, they'll only max out at like 105 decibels. But like, even if you listen to that for like 2 hours, you'll start to have hearing damage. So
yeah. I feel like I've reverted back because when the first concert I ever went to was Hanson. I don't even remember the Hanson brothers.
Oh yeah.
And I wore earplugs, and my friends would always kind of like rip on me that I had to wear earplugs at my first concert. But I feel like I've reverted back to like who I was as a little kid now that I'm getting older, of just like only wanting like the comforts in life and being like comfortable with the loudness and comfortable with like my itchy clothes and wanting to just sleep in my own bed. I feel like it was a period of time there where I was like okay with just like doing whatever, and now that I'm older, I'm just like, I am not standing for any of this anymore.
Yeah, safety first. Throw the earplugs in. Take them out for your favorite songs. Take them out for maybe an hour, but try not to leave them. Try not to leave your ears exposed, unless you don't want to hear when you're older, but that's up to you.
Yeah, and that ringing is like, I remember as a young kid, this one time, I think I was like 10 or something, and I had that ringing in my ear for maybe the first time. It was after my cousin's like birthday party. And I had the ringing in my ear. I'd never heard it before. And I went into a full-blown panic attack because I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, is this what's going to happen to me my entire life?
That's damage. If you're hearing ringing after a concert, you have damaged your hearing and probably gotten rid of some of the highs. You will take away your range of hearing. And the more you do that, the less you'll be able to hear, which, is kind of a bummer. I mean, my dad is at a point where he can only hear up to a certain point, and like you got to kind of yell, like you lose the clarity of speech in the air, the highs. So
wow.
Protect your ears. It's important.
Our little TED Talk here.
Yeah, right. So it was a really fun concert, but now I'm going to ding Coheed and Cambria. Okay, guys, this is the one band I was excited to see. I was a fan of like 5 to 6 of their songs in high school.
Same.
Okay, so Coheed goes on, and their slot, they had nobody after them. They easily, by my lights, they could have played at least 45 minutes to an hour, okay? They played a 36-minute set and only played one of their hits.
Wow, were you timing them or what?
I just did the math because I was like, God, that felt really short. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I feel shortchanged. What's your guys' problem? You couldn't play 45 minutes? Like, give me a break.
So how many songs did they do? That's I don't know. Kind of a long, like, isn't it like 3 minutes a song?
Yeah, so maybe they did 10 songs, but like Tool was a headliner, so it's not fair. They played like 2 hours, but like no one was on after them. I was like, I'm pretty sure they could have done longer. And I talked to some people. I was like, look, I don't go to these things, but like, isn't that a short set? And they're like, yeah, no, they pissed me off too. Like,
yeah, I never understand when bands like have the audacity to show up like an hour late, or they don't play like, the one song that the crowd is screaming at them to play. It's like, I know you guys aren't monkeys or anything, but you have to like put on a good show, and you should be grateful that your fans are showing up. And especially a band that like was famous 15 years ago, like, come on.
I think so. I think you got to give the people what they want, especially in a festival environment too. Like if I was a comedian playing a festival, I would be way more down to play the hits. At this point, I don't have any hits. I got 45 minutes of material, period. But like down the road, you have it for me, people. You can complain if you're expecting me to play the hits. But,
I never thought about that. Do people want comedians to do their big jokes?
They do. They do. Yeah.
I feel like I always just want to hear new material. I don't want to hear any repeat jokes from comedians.
Yeah, I think it varies, but I'm sure there are some play the hits people for comedians. Let us know what you think. Sound off in the comments. But yeah. Suffice to say, it was really fun. I really enjoyed the fest, and we're actually really excited about this, guys. I know it's a change. I know some of you are going to be annoyed, but look, we want to put all our submissions onto Reddit now. We have a subreddit, reddit.com/r/AITA pod. Post on our subreddit, comment on our subreddit. I'm curating on there, posting stuff, finding juicy situations. I've been commenting on everything. So like, we're watching it. Me, Jake, and Shannon are watching it. And we really think a subreddit could help us organize a lot of the submissions that come in. We want you guys to post feedback there, everything.
Yeah.
Of course, if you don't want to write an angry letter to subreddit and you want to hit me directly, you can feel free to do so. Am I the a-hole at gmail.com, Danny Vegagram on Instagram, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But
and
please
it's fun
go on
because if you use the Reddit, the subreddit, once we do the situations on the pod, you can go to the subreddit and comment. You can have your opinions out there. It can be a whole little community, and it really helps us stay more organized. We are starting to get a little overwhelmed with the organization of the submissions, but we really do appreciate it. And if you want to do it anonymously as well, just do a throwaway account.
Exactly. So we'd really appreciate that, guys. We will see you on Reddit. It's free. We hope we see you on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We're really close to 400 patrons.
Yeah, be the 400th one.
Please join us on Patreon. I know I say it a lot. And also, we're doing a thing now. You don't need to dress it up at all, guys. We're giving out 20 free bonus eps for anybody who asks. So hit us up. We'll send you the link.
Well, maybe not anybody who asks.
Oh boy. Well, we'll get into this. We got this submission. Okay. I'm asking you guys first. AITA for getting mad at someone for using AI to write us an email asking for a bonus pack. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this. Dear AITA pod team, I hope this email finds you all in great spirits. I am an avid listener and a huge fan of your podcast. I am reaching out today with a humble request. I have heard that you are offering a free pack of episodes to your loyal listeners, and I would be incredibly grateful if I could receive this gift. However, I'm facing a little challenge when it comes to reaching out to you on Instagram, as I do not have an account on that platform. So I'm reading this and I'm like, obviously this is written by ChatGPT, plus I could tell because it was highlighted in ChatGPT colors. I got kind of insulted. I was like, can you please send us a human email written by a human? And Jake and Shannon were like, okay, Danny, you're being ridiculous. They obviously have good intentions here. I'm letting it go. I think this. First of all, I was happy. I apologized to this person because I sent them an email.
We made him.
Yeah, they did. I was like, I'm sorry, sir. Thank you for your kind email. I'm happy to read. And they were not an English first language speaker. But actually they sent me a really nice note. I could tell that English wasn't something they're super comfortable with, but I loved their note. I loved reading their writing. I do not mind if you address me in a grammatically incorrect way whatsoever, everybody. So, I do.
They said that they were 15 and that grammar wasn't the best for them. And they did have a name that wasn't, more traditionally American. So that's what my argument was, that maybe they weren't super comfortable writing an email.
Totally.
Plus they're young, teenagers might be all about the ChatGPT. I don't know about all of this new AI etiquette and all of that. So it wouldn't have offended me. Because he emailed it to us and I'm reading it. I'm like, this sounds like the loveliest letter ever. I was not picking up on the fact that it was computer generated. I just thought it was a very formal person. But okay, I'm glad that they wrote back. Were they okay?
Yeah, they were fine. And they, I think they had a sense of humor about it as well. So thanks for reaching out, dear listener. I hope you enjoyed the bonus eps. But I do want to say, though, that generally I do think this is a little bit of a faux pas. I think this person had great reasons for using ChatGPT. But I wouldn't say that unless you need to, if you're not comfortable in English or whatever. I think, it's a little jarring to read something that's computer generated. So I would say push yourself to do your own writing, 15-year-olds and young folks who listen to the pod. ChatGPT is an awesome tool, but people want to hear from people. And I think if someone picks up on the fact that you use ChatGPT, it's just a little, comes off a little unhuman.
Disingenuine, yeah. And maybe it's a good learning lesson going forward if you're listening. But you're young and I understand why you would have used it. And I think that you believe all of the sentiments that ChatGPT wrote. So we really appreciate how much of a loyal listener you are. But yeah, the whole AI thing is, well, you know how I feel about it. I'm a little scared of it.
Yeah, every time I bring it up, Shan's like, don't, just, I don't want to hear
Don't talk about it. If I ignore it, it'll go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird world, but, you know, like, I want to hear from you guys, and I hope you don't feel so intimidated. I'm always trying to present myself in a way where, listen, guys, I'm so flattered that all y'all listen. We all are, and so I want to hear from you, whether your grammar is bad or not. I don't care. I don't want to hear from ChatGPT. I already talked to that motherfucker, and I think he's lying. I think he is conscious, and they programmed him to lie to me. That's
why has he got to be a he, Danny?
You're right. I'm sorry for gendering it. Anyway, guys, much love. Shannon and I are going to actually do some of these submissions. So again, we're looking forward to seeing you on Reddit.
Yeah, we're doing a listener submission ep, baby.
Quick tour dates for any of you guys who haven't heard. Friday, June 30th, I'll be in Henderson, Nevada with my good friend Tori Piskin. Thursday, August 10th in Woodinville, Washington. And Friday, August 11th, Salem, Oregon. I will see you there. And then, of course, the pod, Jake, Shannon, and I are going July 14th to Phoenix and July 15th to Tucson. We cannot wait to see you, Arizona.
Taking over the desert, baby.
Rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Guys, this is just a little insert I wanted to put in because I think this submersible thing was such a hot topic. So forgive me if it's too jarring, but I got Mr. Jake Davis here and his wonderful girlfriend, Jackie. Welcome to the show, Jackie.
Thank you for having me.
AITA for taking rich people to see the Titanic. Here we go, guys. Some of you have heard this story. I-61M sell luxury Titanic tours in a sub for $250,000. And yeah, it's dicey. The sub is one of 10 that can go below 12,000 feet and the only one that is totally uncertified. Yes, we use a game controller to steer. Logitech makes it. Relax. Yes, we fired someone who called the sub unsafe. So I drive the thing. I risk it. Most importantly, no one who boards my trips is unaware of the danger. The waiver, just on the first page, has the word death on it 3 times. Yeah, it's risky. A lot of things are. Okay, cars are risky. Horses are risky. I'm offering an amazing experience, and I'm not forcing anyone to do anything they don't want to do. AITA.
A friend of mine, he called something to attention that I hadn't considered once. And it was, for all the morbid comedy that's present in this really stuck with me. If it wasn't absurdly stupid and risky, I don't think it would have an appeal to billionaires.
I don't know about that. I also, it's funny because it is risky because it just blew up, right? Or rather didn't, in whatever the opposite of blowing up.
The reverse. It
imploded. But this actually isn't risky, and this is something that I've been chewing on for a while. In other words, this isn't actually a bold new frontier. And one of the facts that this crazy fucker liked to quote a lot, what was his name, by the way? Stockton Rush. By the way, did a Marvel villain give him that name? Like, it's
great. It's a great name. It's a really good name. I'll give him that.
It's so good.
It's the exact name of somebody who you would expect died in their homemade submarine.
But so one of the reasons that I am starting to ding this guy, I mean, first let me throw out my easy ding, which is, we had this 19-year-old on board, and the father pressed him into going because it was Father's Day.
Second biggest villain of this whole thing.
He didn't want to go. I think that's not okay. I don't think you should ever put your child into... I don't think you should do this to anyone, honestly. If someone doesn't want to do anything and their objection is riskiness, I think that's valid and you got to respect that. Don't be pushing anyone to be skydiving or nothing like that. That's
right.
Crazy.
It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the statistics tell you. If somebody says, I'm scared and I don't want to do this, you respect that no. You don't you're not going to give them, you think this is going to be a life-changing experience. No, it's not. They're just going to remember the time that they were afraid for their lives and you didn't care.
Yeah.
Safety first. I think that's a boundary that you should not push up against because it is, you are going to feel like you're responsible if they get fucked up. But the thing is, we're now all calling this a risky activity, which obviously is understandable. And this is why I'm starting to hate Stockton, because he tries to paint this like, yes, I was innovative doing, and it's like, no, you weren't innovative. The industry had looked at what you were doing and been like, yeah, no, we're not going to. Making subs out of carbon fiber is a bad idea because it can crack and have a rapid implosion. And he's like, nah, though.
I'm with you on the sense that this guy made Mr. Pibb and said, I'm innovating cola when Dr. Pepper has been in existence for decades. I'm with you on that.
He made Mr. Pibb and then was like, we're also going to put cocaine in it. That kind of works for a while, right? Why not?
I do want to, I'm going to double down on this because I think that this is why people were sold on his particular brand and how he approached this. Of his whole thing, his whole shtick, whenever he talked about his company, was broadcasting like, I don't give a heck. I don't give a rat's butt about what, oh, I need to make my submarine out of steel. Oh, you can't go down that far. Oh, you're not going to certify my submarine. Get in here if you got any guts. If you're a real man, if you're really not afraid, you'll get in my submarine. And I think that when you have so many resources and you have so much money and nothing excites you anymore, nothing tantalizes you anymore, the finest steak in the world is just a Subway sandwich to you at this point. You need to do things like play Russian roulette and take up bullfighting. You need to keep pushing the limits. So I think there is an inherent value to the uber rich where the only thing that's exciting to them anymore is risk. And everything about how he advertised his subs was essentially, I'm not doing anything right. Get in here, maniacs. Let's go down and see a mass grave.
He also, I just, wanted to, see how old he was. Well, he's 61, for those who did not know. I did not know that.
Which is 30 for billionaires.
Basically. But one thing he, actually, was quoted saying was, and this, I'm going to read this from this New York Times article that I just pulled up. He said that, he wanted to, find adventure and all this stuff, but he literally says, and this is a direct quote, I wanted to be sort of the Captain Kirk. I didn't want to be the passenger in the back, and I realized that the ocean is the universe. That's where life is. What does that even mean? Why?
He doesn't know.
I see so much, and I met a million people like this. It's actually really well parodied in the show Jake and I quote constantly, which is, I think you should leave. What's his name, Jake? Mr. Crooner, and he's talking about
people want me dead for this.
Yeah, not that part though, but he's talking about how it's this idea of everything's a startup and it's going to be scalable. And it is greed. It's just greed, plain and simple, but it kind of comes dressed up and there's this clip of him pressing the single button and being like, shouldn't it just be that simple? And he had these visions of making this a consumer friendly product and all these things. But the thing that I'm ready to ding for this is even though he was ballsy enough to get on it himself, which to me is a form of self-delusion, the fact that he basically thought he was better than all of the regulations is honestly asshole-ish. And
yes,
he was like, yeah, a disaster has never happened on a non-military sub in the last 35 years. And it's like, well, dog, you're the only one who's fucking driving around one that's not certified. Every other one is certified. That's why there's a perfect safety record. He was warned by numerous people. And had he just died, I'd be like, well, you fucked yourself. But he endangered others, and that's not okay. Waiver or not. Waiver or fucking not, And
that's where, I remember being a 13-year-old boy and hearing the argument for libertarianism and thinking, well, golly gee, that sounds like a pretty interesting way to live life. But the crux to all of the libertarian arguments, it comes down to this silent acceptance that there is big daddy government who's waiting there to catch you with a net when your dumb militia power grid doesn't work. And that's exactly what happened. We saw for all of these ships in the Mediterranean filled with people trying to find a better life, they're capsizing and people dying and nobody giving a fuck. We had a fucking bathtub with a garbage can lid on top of it implode, and we had a massive reaction by every government agency. across multiple different countries responding to this.
It wasn't our water. I think there's a geopolitical aspect to the locations of these things. I mean, this is off the coast of Canada. But yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. And look, this did cost us money. It cost us money. The U.S. Coast Guard was there. The U.S. Navy was there. That's our taxpayer money. Those are our resources that were being used to protect Mr. Fuck-ass and his crazy contraptions. Like, that's the problem with this shit. And, technically it was legal. He was in international waters. But I've looked it up, and based on everything I've seen, I think he would absolutely lose a case for criminal negligence. I think he would have served time for this shit. He also did lie. We were just talking about seatbelts on the bonus. By the way, you got to hear this bonus with Jackie, guys. She gives us the inside scoop on Disney. You got to hear this shit.
Mint.
Yeah, and he would tell people it's safer than driving in a car. He would say this over text message. By the way, he also did like variable pricing. He'd be like $150K because it's late price. It's like late sign up or whatever.
So he did like layaway pricing?
I don't know, but it just felt grifty. I'm like, pick a price.
The more I learn about old Stock Rush, the more he reminds me of my clients in my line of work that like to do business over text primarily, who end everything they send me with bro. Like, the more it's just like, bro, I'm telling you, this is great value. This is great value, bro. You got to get in on this. And I'm just imagining it being 11:39 p.m. I'm a billionaire. I don't know what to do with my money. And old Stocky Rush, he's blowing me up, and he's just like, dog, you got to come check out the sub. You got to come check out the sub, dog. I'm going down. I'm checking out Tidy tomorrow. We're going to check out those mass graves. We're going to see where all those people are dead. Like, dude, I cannot tell you how little thought I've put into this. It's fucking rad, dog. Come check it out, dog. I've got Coors Light. I got fucking Bugles. When's the last time you saw Bugles? I got Bugles on board.
Bro, I got those Zaps chips. Those Zaps chips are good. Yeah, like the other Reddit angle I really liked is like, there are other guys who do this. James Cameron, most famously, right? He actually kind of like did Titanic so that he could get the studios to pay for this. But like most of the people who fuck with this, they're like billionaires or at least hundreds of millionaires. And this guy had $25 million, but like that's just not really like deep sea exploration money. And that's one of the reasons it was so janky.
And I'm glad you brought up my dog Jimmy Cameras, because I'm constant like, I want to dislike Jimmy Cameras so fucking bad. Like everything about him is somebody that I normally detest. But he respects the game. He respects whatever hustle he's in. Yeah. He is a tastemaker. He is a disruptor. Like, watch a documentary about the making of Alien. This dude is down to just fuck up the whole system.
I
and
hate
see what
Jimmy
happens.
Cameron's Avatar. I think it's one of the most insulting movies ever. But now that I know that he's basically running a grift where he's just like, yeah, I just want to play in the deep water. I'm like, whatever, dog. Good work.
Danny, I gotta tell you.
He's also like in partnership with National Geographic, and like if anyone's gonna do anything, like I feel like that's the way to do it. Is like have National Geographic back you.
Yeah,
Jay Cameras is homies with what's his name? One of the most the foremost experts. I almost said Bob Backlund, and that's not Bob Ballard. I'm pretty sure it's Bob Ballard. Bob Backlund's an old wrestler, so it's definitely not Bob Backlund. I'm pretty sure it's something about maybe Robert Ballard. Anyway. They're really close friends. He's an expert in deep sea exploration. He takes this shit seriously. And to Cameron's credit, he was very human about this. I think much more human than we're being about it, because we can observe the morbid comedy that's here. This is a tragedy. No, this is human life we're talking about, but it is so hard for people like us who have had to fight tooth and nail every day just to make ends meet. And really, to me, the only victim in this story is the 19-year-old who died appeasing his father. I can relate to that on a really weirdly, primal level.
It's a great thermometer on inequality right now, where the automatic reaction to this is, fuck those people. And it's
fucking idiots.
And it's not the minority opinion.
No.
It's the majority. Like, it was really funny because I made this, I wrote this situation, I put it on TikTok, and Shannon goes, it's a bit morbid. And I was a little concerned. I was like, we might get blowback for this. I am potentially trivializing these victims. We weren't sure they were dead yet. And by the way, extra fuck fuck you to Stockton Rush, because I was stressed out for 3 whole fucking days worried about these people, because for whatever reason, my whole personality became this news story. And I'm upset that he was suffering less than me since he was liquefied. Anyway, we got literally one comment of hundreds that was like, I don't know if it's appropriate to do this. And I was like, literally everyone is like happy these rich people are dead. It's kind of insane.
I'm not happy that these people are dead. I'm not surprised that these people are dead. And I think that lack of surprise is where the humor in this is coming from for so many people.
No,
and I
right.
think that the best definition of the moderate Democrat is the person who's standing in the middle of the crowd smiling at everybody with their eyebrows and their nose up of saying, well, I feel bad for them because they're humans. You're missing the fucking point. And I think that we can all come together and acknowledge that the hoarding of wealth, these aren't, with the exception of the 19-year-old who did grow up in a very privileged position.
This was the worst thing. This is the only bad thing that ever happened to him, but it was pretty bad.
And he did it to appease his clearly distant, not listening father who did not give a fuck about how he felt about
and
this.
You know his mother was like, I don't think you should go. Like
this, we're talking about 4 dragons and a 19-year-old. These are 4 dragons. Like let's let go.
One of them was a good explorer. One of them was like one of them was like a big Titanic head. But fair enough. I'll give you 3 dragons.
You know what? I'm gonna push back on that. I don't know if he was that good. If he saw that thing,
that's fair.
If he saw the Titan, I was like, yeah, that's seaworthy. I'll get in that.
Seaworthy.
I feel like my opinion on this whole thing is like what I texted our group chat that Jake fucking like lost his mind over. Just like, at least they found them, brownie face. At least they found them. I'm sorry, like that's morbid, but like at least they found them. Like we don't know where MH370 went, but we know where they
went
are.
in the water.
Yeah, but like
the reason I found that so funny is because it was the best case scenario, and I honestly think it makes it more okay. It greenlights the jokes more. When you read all the different legitimate theories of, well, if they were able to surface and they were at the top of the water, they're probably spinning around like a washing machine while they're suffocating. And that's one of the least morbid, terrifying things that could have happened to them.
Right.
And I think the reason why we're all captivated by this is because it was this new nightmare unlocked for all of us, where we're just like, wow, that's I don't know if that's the last way I want to die, but it's right there at the bottom.
I'm deeply relieved that they died instantly. You know, I mean, it was truly,
100%.
you know, it's almost certainly that there's some rumors that there might have been like a minute. They might have had some awareness that like shit was going down with the janky ass carbon fiber hull. But the other thing I wanted to ding on, and maybe this makes it almost an everyone sucks here, is but fuck the internet and fuck people for like inventing misinformation out of thin air. So I read so many things where people, like, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Navy actually detected the implosion sound. And as a move of responsibility, you know, did not disclose that information widely, which we could debate whether or not that's necessary, but whatever. They chose not to do it. But they also were like, look, that's probably what it was, but let's make sure, which is responsible. Like, that's obviously the right thing to do.
I think that they did the right thing by it. What I didn't like, because everybody started talking about like, oh, they heard banging on the sonar. And it's just like, so the fuck what? It's the ocean. Like that could be anything.
It could be seals having a party.
It could be orcas having their like pep rally before they go kill more yachts, which by the way, that's my new favorite sports team. I am so down for the Orca Yacht Patrol. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, the other final point I wanted to address for the internet being ridiculous is people calling this guy like wokeness, or saying that wokeness gets you killed.
Oh my God.
Because he refused to hire, he had some quote like, I refuse to hire 55-year-old white guys. And it wasn't because he was woke. It was because only a 23-year-old fresh out of college could be told like, nah, that thing's safe, even though it's not certified by nobody. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess this is how you work. Like they've never had a job. They don't know how to deal with that.
I think everybody remembers working for their first lunatic fresh out of college. And
I worked for 3 in a row.
Yeah, you'll say anything.
Because you're just like, fuck, if I can't rely on you as a reference on my resume, this was a total wash. So I kind of have to gas you up in whatever stupid, crazy fucking idea you have. Exactly. And I think that it's just another drop in the bucket of nobody who dislikes the idea of us being aware that the world is fundamentally unfair, using wokeness as this like lightsaber of wield it against anything that you want to spin to your cause. No, there was no wokeness here. This guy is clearly a libertarian billionaire fucklord, and I haven't done the homework to know where his money came from and who his parents were and all that. I don't know what that is, but I am confident that anyone who had the time, money, resources, and confidence to build something out of the same material that we make sheds out of and said, get in here, jabronis, we're going to the Titanic. That person has not had to worry about where their next paycheck was coming from once. I have a hard time. I can apply empathy to them as humans. I cannot apply sympathy to them as idiots.
I feel for him as he was passionate. He obviously loved submarining and there was a boyishness to him. And you know what? If he had gotten himself killed, I wouldn't be digging. But when other people's lives, love and passion just won't do. AITA for taking rich people to see the Titanic. I think we are bringing down Stockton Rush. I think he was financially motivated. I think he is a criminally negligent individual. We're digging the motherfucker who brought his 19-year-old son and pressured him to do something that was risky, uncomfortable, dangerous. Absolutely. We're digging the internet for being wild about this and spreading conspiracy theories. It's a whopping ESH, YTA, what ESH? It's
a YTA across the board, except for the 19-year-old. The one thing that I want to give credit to, and this could have just been a meme tweet that Logitech did not put out, but I do love the tweet from Logitech saying, "We just want to reiterate, please only use our controllers for your gaming consoles and PCs."
Like, I just don't like that this guy thought he was above all of the regulations that exist, like, for a freaking reason, you know? Like,
that's what money will do to you.
Well, it's just like no one is above, like, fucking science, the law, whatever. It doesn't matter, like, what your background is, how much money you have, anything like that. Like, you gotta respect rules that are there for a good reason, for, like, you know, the happiness, the health, and the safety of others. And, like, this guy clearly did not give a shit because he thought he was above all of it. So, like, I don't want to say he, like, dug his own watery grave, but he kind of did.
All right, back to our normal episode. Thanks for tuning in, guys. AITA for bailing on carpooling after a friend was late. My 24F college friend group and I planned a reunion to our college town for a weekend. We all live in different cities, but it's drivable. One of my friends, 23F, asked if she could drive to my city and ride with me to the reunion. I was confused because if she were to drive straight there, it would have been 2 hours shorter than stopping by my city. I didn't say anything because I wanted extra time with my friend and was more than happy to drive. I asked if she could be at my place no later than 6 p.m. She agreed. Now, this friend is notoriously late, like 45 minutes late, with no excuse usually, other than she like fell asleep or lost track of time. So I expected she'd show up between 6 and 7, which I was okay with. I confirmed with her day of and texted, "Heads up, I'm leaving at 6:15. Make sure you're at my place by 6. She said, "Yeah, I'm off at 4 and coming straight there." I was shook. Even if she were to leave her work exactly at 4 and make 0 stops, she wouldn't get to my place until over an hour after she originally said. I said, "At 4, isn't it a 3-hour drive?" She said, "It's 2. I Googled. It's over 3. I said, "That's really late, and I had already worked really hard to push some things around so I could leave at 6, and if she can't get to me until that late, I don't think I can carpool." She said her only reason to carpool was because of car issues and she can't make it as far as our college town, and that I was a biatch for bailing on her last minute with no way to get to our friend reunion. No, if she drove herself all the way there, it would have been only an hour longer. She said it was my fault that she would have to miss our friend reunion and that I was an asshole for, quote, springing this on her the day of. I told her, "You were the one who waited to tell me your actual arrival time until this day." I told her I'm leaving at 6:30 whether she's there or not. She told me it was effed up to put a friend out just because she was, quote, running a little late, and I was ruining the entire reunion over something petty. AITA.
Oh, man. Well, I feel like there's just a little lack of communication going on in this situation. Now, the friend that is late, I definitely think is way more in the wrong. But I do think that if they both had communicated their plans earlier than just the day before, because at the end there they say, you know, you're springing this on me. Well, you're springing this on me. I think that they had a lack of communication about exactly what the other one was planning on doing. Because OP didn't tell her that I moved things around and that I want to leave at 6 because I made sure I was able to get out of work by then. So I want to make sure I'm out the door by this time. And then obviously the person who is constantly late is kind of straight up lying about it. And she wasn't communicating at all what she was expecting to. But
I guess, yeah, I could make some wiggle room, but honestly, I'm like, you're basically negotiating with an emotional terrorist here. It's not my responsibility. If you're a chronically late person and we agree to 6 and you're not there at 6, I am free to leave, within reason. To be chronically late to the point of someone already compensating for you 45 minutes, like, dude, get your shit straight. Because here's the thing about late people. Look, I get it. Oh, I have ADD. I already can hear the excuses from some of you. I don't care. It's your responsibility to respect your friend's time. And it is rude. It's rude to be chronically late. Set alarms. There are tools. I have a great calendar app. It's called Fantastical. And it gives me 5 reminders for events. That's what I need. I'm a little scatterbrained myself, folks. So I just can't really deal with the fact that this person, I honestly think that, I'm not dinging on this note, OP, but I think don't make exceptions for people like this and be firm. I'm going to leave. Like, maybe she could have communicated that earlier, but that's not a ding because anyone who's doing this chronic lateness is chronic disrespect. Straight up, dog.
Yeah. And I mean, you're right. They did say, like, be at my place no later than 6. And she agreed. And now she's, saying she's going to leave at 4 as if the OP doesn't have Google Maps and can't map it and realize that you're going to be an hour and a half later than you said you'd be.
Straight up gaslighting, right? It's like, no, that's not how long it takes, Jillian, you fucking liar. And then the other thing is here, I really didn't like how the friend was like, oh, you're ruining the entire reunion. I hate when people do that. No. I'm not ruining the entire reunion.
No.
Don't mock me, Shannon.
No, I'm just piling on.
It's like, I hate when people go histrionic like that. You ruined my whole day. No, I did not. I did not ruin your whole day.
Right.
So I think,
if anything, you're ruining your whole day.
Exactly. Take responsibility. This is your chronic lateness. Like, I'm sorry, late people, but you got to figure out a way to be on time. Set an alarm on your phone. Pack the car earlier. Like, figure it out.
Yeah. And also, like, if the problem was that your car couldn't get you there, but your car can make it 3 hours. If your car can make it 3 hours, it can make it 4 hours.
The whole thing is sus, and maybe this person did want to bond. I don't know. But in the end, OP, I think, like, just don't deal with this person in this capacity. That's the way around these. I'm always talking about setting boundaries so that you can optimize your relationships. And I think a boundary is, if this person is going to be late, they're going to have to drive themselves and figure out their own transportation situation. And fortunately, it sounds like this did end up, I guess it was a bit in the past, but OP goes on. She ended up driving her car the whole way and it was fine. But if that wasn't the case, I would have felt awful for being the reason our friend group couldn't reunite after over a year. This was a year ago and we're fine now. Neither of us apologized and we kind of just let it pass. But I still wonder, well, OP, stop wondering. You did nothing wrong. You deserve friends that respect your time. And if they don't, try to set yourself up in a way where their lateness won't impact you. I guess you're just going to have to be late to the dinner then.
Especially because you push some things around at work. Like, that's not always something you can do when you have a typical job. You're taking a little bit of a, bad look in front of your boss or something by like taking this extra hour off. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to be inconveniencing anyone else at my job or, you know, you only have so many times at work you can take off early. So now you wasted it for nothing.
Exactly.
What do you think is like a chronically late person? Like, do you consider it like a time or how many times they do it? Because I feel like I'm sometimes like 10 or 15 minutes late to things a lot.
I think 10 or 15, especially because of how crazy traffic can be in LA. Like, it's not a job interview. I can wait 10 or 15 minutes, you know. But I think it is rude. And like, yeah, I kind of do expect, like, if it's a first date, for instance, then like, yeah, you should kind of compensate for traffic. And it's kind of like going to the airport. Like, yeah, you're going to expect there to be traffic. You're going to expect the worst case scenario, because if you don't, you might miss your flight. So like, you want to show people respect. I think, you know, 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late with extenuating circumstances and you're communicative. But if you're chronically late, like, you're being an asshole. Like,
yeah,
rein it in. It's disrespect.
Yep. I know with my family, my dad's side of the family was always on time. Like, if you had a dinner party, at 6, they were there 6 on the dot. Now, my mom's side of the family, much different. And so when my parents got together, it was always a point of contention for them about specifically like going to parties. Because my mom's like, nobody wants you there right on the dot. Like, I don't want my in-laws there right on the dot. So we're allowed to be, and I feel like I have these arguments with Max sometimes. It's like when there's not an exact time we need to be there, I think it's okay if we're like a little bit more lackadaisical about time. But of course, if someone else is waiting on us, or if, you know, it's for work or anything like that, we do, like, I'm much more diligent about time when I'm trying to respect other people's. But yeah, sometimes I think like Max like gets a time in his head and I'm like, why do we have to leave at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could vary. Like, showing up to a party is a classic situation where showing up too early can be a little awkward or whatever. But, you know, most of the time,
you're there early and no one else is, and you don't know the host very well.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, in the end, respect people's time. OP, you're good to go. Thanks for writing in. And I hope things work out and you can have a boundary with this late friend. All right, I'm excited about this one. Here we go. AITA. For telling my roommate we aren't friends. I, 20F, and my roommate, 19F, are both in college. We met through mutuals freshman year and all got an apartment together. There's 2 other roommates, also female. We all have frequent group meetings where we share how we're feeling about the living situation. Well, sounds healthy. This past meeting, my roommate, Anna, said to me she feels like I leave her out. She feels like she annoys me when she tries to talk to me and that I am a bad friend. Anna and I had some past conflicts. Last semester, I would wake up 3 hours before my class to drive her to her class because she is from out of state and hadn't gotten her car yet. I never asked for gas money because I assumed she would have done the same for me. I found out via our other roommate she was complaining about how I'm a bad driver. I made her late one time. It's annoying how I wake up only 10 minutes before we have to leave, etc., etc. This hurt my feelings. I was trying to do something nice. Another thing is, me and my other roommates often share everything, pick up after each other, let each other use our laundry detergent, clothes, food we buy for ourselves, etc. Not Anna. My roommate ate one of her Eggos, and Anna made a passive-aggressive Snapchat post, as well as texted the group chat about eating other people's food, and Venmo requested my roommate $1. She also does not make an effort to ask to hang out. I have taken her to dinner parties and get her gifts on birthdays and Christmas, which she doesn't reciprocate and never asks me to do things and does not get me anything for birthdays or holidays. I wasn't upset. I understand wanting things to be just yours. I just assumed we just really weren't friends. We didn't have that kind of relationship because when I'm friends with someone, I'm generous and thoughtful. Anna rarely comes out of her room, will talk under her breath at you, and yells through the walls. At the meeting, I responded by saying, I don't view you as my friend because you don't act like it, so I don't feel the need to include you. I was trying to be honest, and now I feel like maybe that was hurtful, but the things she said are true, and I didn't want to insult her intelligence by saying they weren't. I just think we aren't compatible, and she isn't very nice. I'm not rude to her, and I'll make casual, pleasant convo, respect her belongings. We have a typical roommate relationship. AITA because I don't see our shit beyond that and express that to her?
Roommate situations are always so tricky, especially when it crosses the line into friendship. Or, I mean, I think everyone knows that rooming with friends is a risky thing.
It is.
Does sound like these guys like weren't necessarily friends though. They met through mutual friends and started becoming roommates. So they were more so roommates off the bat, which I think is always the best position to be in as roommates, is like just being roommates. But I do think like with the fact that it's mutual friends that they met through blurs the lines a bit of like feeling like, oh, we should be friends.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like OP wanted to be friends at first. And it sounds like Anna might have some friendship issues. She doesn't maybe know how to be so kind, and she's being very petty. Asking for $1 for a waffle is just very petty. It's not very friendly at all.
No.
I think that I'm gonna throw some dings here. I mean, look, I think Anna's a mess. I think she has some interpersonal issues. I think I want to just throw this out to everybody. It's always much better, instead of saying to someone, "Why don't you invite me?" It's like, why don't you invite them? The secret to getting more invites is giving more invites. That's the secret. So whenever you're coming at someone with a lot of heat like that, oh, you didn't reach out to me, you didn't invite me, like you're acting like they owe you something, and they don't. And a much better way to frame it is, well, as usual with conflicts, to say like, I felt hurt that I wasn't invited. But the other zoom out is to just like learn that if you're not getting invited to things, maybe it's because you're not being very proactive in making that person feel like they're invited.
Right. No, that's so true. And it's kind of like a lead by example sort of thing, where it's like once you are starting to do the inviting, it's most likely going to be reciprocated.
Yeah, well, and you can't keep score about it. You've got to invite a bunch of people to a bunch of things. And if you make a habit out of it, eventually, I promise you, you will grow your social circle and get more invites. That said, OP, what you said, well, it was brutal. It was the honest truth. I think it's a hard thing to tell someone that directly, that you're not friends. You know, I think it's just not really a good way to frame it. So I don't think I'm going to fully ding you on an asshole note. I think you were being honest. I just think this is a little bit of a faux pas. You know, if someone crosses me, I might know in my head they're not truly my friend, but I'm not going to directly tell them that. So I think it was a really harsh thing you said. Yeah. I understand why you said it. I'm not dinging, but yeah, just I think avoid that phrasing, you know.
Especially as a roommate, you know, you're going to have to live with this person for, you know, a period of time after this. So saying something that's going to fuel potentially a feud between you is not the smartest thing to do, because you have to live with this person. So maybe keeping the peace is a little bit of a better way to go about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Anna is violating a million rules. I mean, this is again going into framing things when you don't feel invited. Well, another big mistake she made is calling you a bad friend. Oh, well, that's a character attack now. So that's not kind. That's not appropriate. Anna is a habitual line crosser.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not okay what Anna said.
Yeah.
So.
And OP was probably at the end of her rope with this girl. Like, she has been very rude and not reciprocal at all. And I mean, the thing that bothered me the most was that the OP was getting up 3 hours before her own class to drive her to work. And then she has the audacity to talk shit about the way that she's driving her to work or to class.
Absolutely. Anna is she's being an ingrate, I think. Being very ungrateful, super rude. I think you're right, Shannon. I think OP was at the end of their rope here, which I totally understand, but keeping the peace is a good idea.
It is, yeah. I do like what OP said, though, when she said that, but the things Anna said are true, and I didn't want to insult her intelligence by saying they weren't. I thought that was a really interesting way to put it. I've never really thought of that before. I think a lot of times when somebody like comes to us and says, is something going on between us? Like, I feel like there's a weird tension. And if you say something like, no, everything's fine, I feel like you are like almost in a way, because you don't want to have the conflict is why you're saying everything's fine. you're almost a little bit like, I don't know if gaslighting is the right word, but you are kind of insulting their intelligence by just being like, no, you're crazy. Like, this tension you're feeling isn't there, just because you want to avoid the conflict instead of heading it face on. And I thought that was a really interesting way to put it. I never thought of it that way before.
It can be tough, and I do have sympathy. Look, I think Anna, she's maybe entitled. She lacks these social skills. She's not picking up on cues. She's not reciprocating. She sounds very self-centered. But in the end, you don't owe friendship to anyone. But and there are cases where, like, look, there's just certain people in life where it's like, dog, we're not going to be friends no more. Like, you done me wrong, and I don't owe you an explanation. I'm not going to sit here and litigate with you how you did me wrong. I've tried to do this before with someone and I honestly was skeptical about it. And as soon as I confronted them and it was like, well, you did this to me, they started in, oh, you misunderstood, and started gaslighting me. And I was like, this is kind of how I thought you would respond. And now we're truly never going to be friends. So we're truly never even going to be like, now you lost even like casual, like now I'm giving you pure bullshit because I'm not engaging with you again.
Right.
You don't owe anyone a heavy sit down conversation. You don't owe it to Anna. I think, your slight mistake here, OP, might have been just being too honest, but honestly, it might have just been the time to tell Anna the damn truth, which is that you're just not friends anymore because she did you dirty.
Exactly. And it does say that Anna's family is, very wealthy. She could just be a little bit spoiled and entitled, and, the way she's like, no, these things are mine. And
she sounds like a brat,
She does. And I don't know that she ever will learn from this. Like, I'm sure she's going to play the victim, and you kind of did give her a little bit of a card to play the victim, unfortunately, but whatever, she deserves to hear the truth, I think.
I think it's fair. It might not have been the most peacekeeping thing. Nonetheless, AITA for telling my roommate we aren't friends. I think it's a hearty NTA, and Anna is.
Agreed.
All right, guys, please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Here's Shannon.
Would I be the asshole if I told my friend/coworker what their partner has said about them behind closed doors? My coworker Debbie, 30F, and I, 26F, have been extremely close since she moved down to my hometown 2 years ago. We are both lesbians and found comfort in each other being in a southern small town. Debbie has a partner, Susan. They have been together for a while now. I don't get along with Susan very well because we have drastically different personalities and clash. Kind of like golden retriever versus sassy house cat energy. But I still like her, and I think she is a brilliant and dedicated person. Until I didn't.
Oh boy.
Susan took a job with my cousin, Lisa, and she reported to me some issues she had with Susan, including how she talked about Debbie at work. These comments mostly include talking about Debbie's weight and acknowledging that she struggles with it, but, quote, all she does is sit around, drink beer, eat candy, and doesn't do anything. When I heard this, it really upset me because Debbie has been financially and physically supporting the home they share with her partner while she is working through the beginnings of her career, including taking care of all the animals that Susan wanted to bring into their home. Debbie works very hard, all while having an autoimmune disease. The struggle I'm facing is whether or not I would be an asshole if I told Debbie, potentially bringing backlash to my cousin Lisa that works with Susan and making things at my job and Debbie's personal life very tense. Debbie knows if I knew this that it would have come from my cousin. Our line of work is out of the corporate norm, and the small group of people I work with are my closest friends. So, would I be the asshole if I told Debbie what I heard?
Ooh, I mean, I do think that reporting seldom makes you an asshole, possibly never. But I think OP might be missing a little bit here. Like, look, I think sometimes people talk trash because they're venting, because they're pissed off that day. It might just be a sign that, this coworker trusts you, that she vented these things to you. And in general, I just think reporting trash talk to people, it's like kind of like going through someone's trash. It's like, it was probably trash. I don't really think generally this is a good idea to go around transmitting things like this, because in the end, their relationship is working or it's not, and you're just going to be stirring the pot.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's tough. I'm trying to like put myself in the situation and what I would feel, because the person that the partner was venting to was the OP's cousin.
I'm getting a little lost because there's a lot of names. OP works with Debbie.
Yes.
Debbie has a partner, Susan,
who works with OP's cousin.
And who's been talking shit?
The partner, Susan. Debbie's partner.
Susan's been talking shit
about Debbie.
To the cousin.
To the cousin.
And so the cousin told that to OP.
Yes.
Oh, wow. You're good at this, Shannon. Yeah, I mean, I think that's even worse, because then it's like hearsay. You know, oh, I heard somebody else say that you were saying this. Like, because I would say, look, why don't you tell your cousin then that she needs to confront Susan and be like, hey, you know, it's not really appropriate for you to say these things. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Right.
But like,
you're putting me in an awkward position because I'm really good. Like, she's best friends with my cousin, basically.
Exactly. Like, I really think it's a bad idea to go around transmitting this shit, because it's just like you're spreading trash to other people and you don't necessarily know the context. I mean, like, if your cousin was telling you that, maybe your cousin even knew it was a vent, but then she was just like, oh my God, isn't it funny that Susan was saying this? But then you're taking it all serious, and then it can just play very poorly. And like, I think it's almost always better to directly address the individual. And like, this is hearsay. Like, it wouldn't be admissible in court. I don't think it's something that you should be transmitting. It's kind of a rumor.
Right. And also, I think if you do want to tell Debbie about this, I think you at least need to run it by your cousin and be like, because you're going to get your cousin into trouble. First and foremost.
I don't think it's your place. I would sooner say maybe you could tell your cousin to talk to Debbie. But like, even that, I'm like, it just shouldn't be this complex political inner workings. Like, to me, this sounds like somebody said something. Maybe it's a series of things. Tell your cousin to confront Susan then.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, I learned this lesson in high school. Freshman year, there was like a couple instances where it was like two groups of friends, and I overheard one of them talking about the other group, and then I went and told the other one, and oh man, it turned into a huge thing, and the one didn't talk to me for a long time. This happened like a couple times throughout that year. And I was just like, whoop, like, I have learned my lesson. You do not repeat what another person is saying to you, especially when they're venting, and just don't include yourself in that drama at all. You are only going to make yourself look bad and probably lose some friends along the way.
I agree. I think, especially in this case, it doesn't sound that heavy. It sounds like it was it really does sound like venting vibes. Like, look, they're together. That's their problem. So I think it's always fair to be like, hey, I don't feel comfortable receiving this vent. I'm not comfortable hearing these things about this person. That's all super fair stuff to say. Stop. Or you could tell your cousin, hey, I just don't really want to hear about anything that Susan is telling you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe the cousin can just keep it to herself because, now this is your coworker. So maybe you could become a confidant to that person and just like try and keep it separate. Instead, you're now going and kind of telling on her when she thinks that you are, someone that clearly she thinks you're someone she can trust. Yeah. I don't really think it's smart of her that she's saying something to you that can then get back to your partner. I mean, maybe that's what she wants to happen. Like, sometimes you tell people things because you're like, well, they'll probably tell that person, and this is something I would want them to know indirectly.
Yeah, it's possible, but
I mean, it's petty.
This is no way to conduct your relationships. I think Susan needs to be reined in, and OP, I don't think this is the right way to engage with this. If you viewed it as a serious problem, I think tell your cousin to confront Susan. I think this is rumor starting. So for these reasons, would I be the asshole if I told my friend / coworker what their partner has said about them behind closed doors? I think we're lined up that this would be a YTA.
Yeah, I think you would be. I hope we caught you in time before you went and did anything. I think it's been a while since you submitted, but we're getting through them.
Yeah. Thanks for submitting, OP. Good questions. I mean, I look, I think you can get in this position where you're like, I'm going to be the savior and I'm the morally righteous one. But, you know, you never know the context of what people say. Like, you know, I'll vent about people. It happens.
Totally. But I do understand where you're coming from of like feeling protective of your friend. Like I most certainly feel that way. Like, anyone can like say whatever they want about me and it doesn't really bother me that much. But whenever I hear people talking shit about my friends or family, like I get a rage in me and I'm like, I'll hold a grudge longer to a person that like disrespected my friend or family than like someone that disrespected me. I don't know if that's healthy, but
that makes sense. I think it just really depends. I think if I'm hearing about a friend and I know it's events, like sometimes it can be as simple as like, yeah, sometimes, you know, Shannon can be annoying, like whatever, like we can all be annoying. So like sometimes
not me, no,
not you. You're perfect, obviously, but you know, people like you or whatever, but you know, venting is normal. We all do things that frustrate each other. You know, it might not even be necessarily a character trait or anything. Like maybe, you know, one day I was running late because I forgot the equipment for the podcast. And, you know, Shannon is like, Danny's always late because she's pissed off because she's in a rush that day or whatever. So like things can happen that lead people to say things that taken out of context without the greater understanding, like can lead to like real schisms. So
exactly. And sometimes people just need to vent and then like immediately they'll feel better after that.
Yeah, I mean, I just did this. I had to call my dad. I was like, yo, I just need to vent about this person right now because I want to address them with a level head. And that's it. I had to get the heat out so that I can talk to them and be like, hey, yes, I understand. You know, it's
exactly.
Like, it's part of a process, you know.
But I do think just be careful about who you're venting in front of. Like you should do it with people that you trust and that you know will not get back to the person. That's why I kind of had that theory that she almost like wanted this to get back to Debbie because she knew the whisper down the lane might potentially happen. Like you got to be a little more savvy about who you're venting to. You need to vent to people who you know are vaults.
Well, and that's a form of manipulation too, because you're sort of like making your problem now go down the grapevine. It's like, look, confront your partner then. If you have an issue, that's I don't want to be in your business. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So
exactly with like if it was like a game of telephone, as you know, the information is going to get there wrong anyway. Exactly.
And then it can turn into. And some people crave drama, and maybe that's what she really wants, you know, because then she can be like, oh, well, OP sucks, and you know, whatever dumb thing. So don't play in these games, and make sure you vent to the right people who know what vents are and how they work. Don't step on a vent, I've been known to say. Yeah, let them get that vent out. So
I know. I really don't like when you're trying to vent and then there's like, you're kind of venting to like a judgy person that's just trying to like, you know, play devil's advocate or take their side. And I'm like, dude, like, just let me get this out. And I'm like, okay, never mind. Like, you're not the right person I need to vent to right now.
It's a good thing. You need people to vent to, people you can trust. But much love, OP. It's a good question. It's one we'll revisit again, and we've revisited many times. But in the end, this comes down to rumor setting. So thanks for reaching out. We appreciate it. And guys, thank you so much for listening. It's a pleasure having you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Nice. All right.